Okay, Ryan here with Accelerate Marketing, and today I've got Corey and Cliff from FastForwardSearch on the call with me, and I'm really excited to interview these guys because I think a lot of people. We were just talking about this before we got on. I think a lot of people wonder who these digital marketing people are. Who these people are that are behind the scenes making all these secret things happen. The secret SEO strategies happen, and these guys are really interesting because with FastForwardSearch, I mean, I really appreciate what they do because they've really focused on one or two niches and verticals, and they really do a good job, and I just like them. I mean, they're open, and they're honest guys, and so anyway, with that, I'll let you guys introduce yourself individually.
Thanks, Ryan.
Okay.
My name's Cliff, and I guess Ryan mentioned that we have a couple of verticals that we focus on, mainly like plumbers and pest control, especially bed bug exterminators, is our kind of our bread and butter, and we've been doing that since about 2011 or so.
Yeah. Awesome. What about you, Corey?
Yep, my name's Corey Rizzu, and with Cliff and I pretty much started on the same day back in 2011, I think, and shortly after that, we probably got our first bed bug client. Everything kind of started with bed bug specialists, then it expanded out to bed bug guys and pest control guys and plumbers, and it's just gone from there. I mean, we've been there from the beginning of bed bugs, definitely not from the beginning of plumbers and pest control, but it's been a while.
That's a really unique niche, and so I have a digital marketing agency called Accelerate Marketing, as you guys know. So we specifically help businesses with their Google local service ads and Google business profile optimization. And these guys do the same. They do similar, and they're using a lot of the same strategies. We actually compare notes in terms of how we're leveraging, for example, artificial intelligence, to get results for our clients. And I think the only thing better than bed bugs is maybe mole removal. Have you guys heard of that? What do you think?
You say mold removal?
Mole.
Like the mole,
like a mole off your neck. Yeah.
That's funny.
We've never thought of doing that vertical.
I don't think we have. No.
That would be if you ever run across a best mole removal leads company, that would be interesting to interview.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and it just goes to show you when you can get really focused. I mean, when you have a bed bug guy call you, all the answers to all their questions before they even ask them. They're like, and so what are some of those questions that a bed bug guy, when he's like, oh my gosh, I need more. First of all, what do they say? They're like, okay, I heard you're good. I heard you're, in our vertical. How does that conversation go when somebody's calling you up?
Typically, it's a conversation. First of all, we typically know how the conversation is going to go.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because most of the guys, we actually have more experience in their business than they do.
Yeah.
And so the conversations are very fascinating because we kind of just have to sit back and listen because everybody has their own way of killing bed bugs, essentially. Or at least they feel like they do, and they all think that they're like the best bed bug killers ever, which is totally cool.
Yeah.
And they all are great. Like all of our clients are great people, and I think that's one of the things that Corey and I really like about what we do is we get to work with great guys.
Yeah.
And so I'd say some of the questions, I had a really good question recently. A client asked me before you got started was like, what's a scenario what you've had that it didn't work out with a client? And the honest truth is 99% of the time, if it doesn't work out is because the person didn't close leads. We've never lost a client as long as they can close leads because we will generate more leads for them than anybody else can generate for bed bugs. And even plumbers, the same thing. And the reality is the guys that don't answer the phone and don't close leads, those are the only guys that we've ever really lost as clients over the years.
Interesting.
Which brings in AI, which AI, when we got into AI, started learning more about it, that's kind of how we got in touch with Ryan. It's just the AI connection, AI and LSA. So
AI and LSA, baby. I mean, those are the two. I mean, would you agree that a bed bug guy or pretty much any local business, if they're optimizing and really running their LSA and their GBP right, would you agree that they could really just use those two strategies and live off them?
I don't know if bed bug guys could.
Okay.
Maybe plumbers could. The reason why I say that is because there's so much other traffic that people do during the research phase of bed bugs that for a bed bug company, there's also this authoritative figure. So if you show up in a local service ads, you show up in a regular ad, and you show up down below, like in the maps and organically, when people have bed bugs, they just want them gone.
Right.
And you'll get some people that price shop, but a lot of people are like, I just want them gone. If you can get rid of my problem, great.
Right.
And so you'll find people that the more authoritative you look, they're willing to basically almost pay anything to get rid of those bed bugs.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So you really need to do a mixture of everything.
I know. I would do, because bed bugs are not, they ain't nothing to play around with. You know what I'm saying?
No, not at all.
Yeah. I've never had bed bugs, but I'm sure if my wife found that the bed bugs were biting the baby, it would be we need to take care of this now.
Yeah.
I think you might be thrown out before the bed bugs. If
probably
found that out.
Yeah. Definitely before the baby.
Yeah.
Babies. But yeah, no, to your point though, Ryan, I mean, I do think Google Business Profile and either Google Ads or LSA is a good start. I mean, you have to have a Google Business Profile because, I mean, as a pest control or a bed bugs or a plumber, any of our verticals, you have to have the Google Business Profile, and you have to be actively going after reviews.
Yeah.
We really see Google Ads and local service ads as a way that you generate leads right away. And when new businesses come to us, I mean, there's really, they have to have leads next week. They have to have phone calls next week. They're in that first growth stage of their business, and it needs to be soon. I mean, you can't just focus on SEO and expect to get phone calls next week. Right. You should definitely focus on SEO at some point, but if you want phone calls next week, it needs to be some sort of ads, which is going to be predominantly Google Ads or local service ads, your traditional Google Ads or local service ads.
And you asked a good question, Ryan, about the whole, what did clients typically ask us? Like, when a client first comes to us, they have this idea of how they think things should work versus how things actually work. Yeah. So like we actually just had a call this week with a potential new client who only really wanted to do SEO. And we were like, well, we can do that, but the problem is you need leads.
Right.
Like right now.
Yeah. He was early in his growth stage.
Yes.
Early in his growth rate. He did not have time or money in the bank to wait for months for his first phone calls.
So majority of our clients, when they come on board, we're working with small to medium-sized guys. Most of our clients, very rarely do we get a client that comes on board and that just says, all right, I want to do a website, SEO, Google Ads, Google Guaranteed, or local service ads. They want to do everything how they get. We've had that happen maybe twice in our career. It just doesn't happen very much. Yeah. So most of our clients come in, it is, hey, we're starting out with Google Ads, local service ads. We got to generate leads. Because the reality is we got to show that we can help them make money.
Right.
Like, SEO is one of those things that, you feel like you got to talk a lot of fluff to a client. Like to convince somebody, hey, it may take 6 to 9 months to get leads out of your SEO. Yeah. That's a pretty hard pitch, especially when a lot of your guys live out in the boondocks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's tough.
Yeah, like, you gotta have some faith. You gotta have some faith to keep going.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be sunshine and roses on day one.
So you guys are saying like 6 to 9 months is about how long you're saying it would take to get the results?
Typical, but it varies. I mean, it depends on the competition. It depends on where you live. Did you put your location where your address is for your Google Business Profile wisely? Yeah. Did you put it in population, or did you put it someplace else? That
Yeah.
it makes
It's
a
your
difference.
house.
It
It's
Yeah.
your
makes a
house.
difference. Yeah, it's in your house, and your house is well away from population. That's a problem. If your house is downtown next to a population, great.
Yeah.
We could get that a lot faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, we typically
So,
find that most of our guys don't live in a populated area. And so it's one of those things like when a client first comes aboard, right, they got to build trust with us. So we got to get them making money first. And then once we get them making money, then we can have the conversation about, okay, here's SEO wise, right? Like sometimes you're better off if you can find an address in the city somewhere, you're
Mhm.
a little better off doing that.
Yeah.
If you can't, great, we'll work around it. We'll do the best we absolutely can. But the reality is it's population and where you're located is so important. And I think you deal with a lot of attorneys, and most of those guys are probably they have pretty good addresses, and most of them
yeah,
probably
I would
have
guess. We don't know
office
anything.
space. I mean,
Well,
yeah.
well, funny you say that. I had a PI attorney, or a guy that wants to be a PI attorney, that's actually working at a real estate attorney firm in downtown New York City, in Manhattan, that wants to open up a PI firm. And I said, okay, well, he doesn't have an address. So I'm like, you're in New York City, probably one of the most expensive places
Yep.
in the world, in the most competitive vertical in the world, probably.
An address isn't cheap, right?
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, well, he's like, well, I could, I was looking for places to, like find an address. And he's like, I found a place in Queens that was pretty good. And I'm like, well, yeah, Queens is decent, but if you really want to compete, like you guys said, you gotta pony up and go right down to Manhattan, go right down to
Yep.
Times Square, baby. Find some
Yep.
find some real estate in Times Square on the corner.
Yep.
you know?
I don't know what
Well,
that would cost, but it can't be
have
cheap.
you had noticing, dude, it's a lot harder to get a Google business profile approved now than it was back, even 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh yeah.
The video process is, I mean, it's demanding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
We,
yeah, it's definitely, and there's really, it's only down to videos at this point.
yeah.
From at least in our verticals. I don't know about lawyers, but in our verticals, it's
What's been your
videos
experience
only.
with that?
Yeah, they want a video. They want you to start out in the front, show the sign out front, and walk in the front door, and show the placard down below in the on the first floor of where their suite's at, to show they're actually in the building. And then you walk up the stairs, and you gotta record all the way going up the stairs and going in the door to show the placard outside the door with the guy's name. I mean, you got to go in the door in their suite and open the door and show the desk.
Unlock it.
Yeah, unlock it. You gotta show the actual desk with a phone and the business cards.
All in 2 minutes. All
Yeah.
in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And the file can't be too big.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, and send it over. It's gotta be less than 30 seconds so we can actually upload that file. So
And if
yeah,
they don't like
And
something
clients
about the
get mad.
video, start over.
yeah,
And clients get mad when you're like, hey, they don't send the postcard anymore.
yeah,
And they're just like, well, hold on, like, like I want to get this
Yeah.
location. It's like, dude, it's not like it used to be.
yeah,
It's hard to get people to wrap their mind around that.
yeah. And I think that I think that they're going to make it a requirement, actually, that there's an address. I think eventually they might even
Yeah.
do that. I mean, and that's where you've got to have that Google Business Profile page to set up the local service ads page,
Yep.
and or really to make it effective, because it you know it really, to make it easy to get the reviews. I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but to get the reviews to transfer and to go to the Google local service ads page, it really does make sense to have that Google Business Profile page, so that you can get the reviews there and then have them transferred. Because to get reviews on that LSA page by itself is, I mean, it's
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a tougher
Yeah.
road. Which
And
Well,
I
and the
think-
other thing is you don't
reviews
really
isn't
want them on
easy.
the LSA
It's never
page, right?
easy.
Yeah, you don't, unless you want to get verified reviews. You want the reviews on the LSA page, but it's just
But they don't flow over to your Google Business Profile.
exactly.
So
So
if you don't, which is
Yeah.
a huge battle we face with our especially with bedbug guys, because they're afraid to ask for reviews because they
Yeah.
know that the stigma that comes with having bedbugs.
Yeah.
So they struggle getting reviews oftentimes because of that. They
Right.
don't like they don't want people to, or the end customer doesn't want their neighbors and friends and family to know that they have bed bugs.
Yeah. So getting a review and having somebody admit that they had bed bugs. Which, by the way, I want to be clear, we didn't have bed bugs. I had a situation where I went to a hotel, and can you imagine a hotel? That would be a great. Can you imagine getting that call from one of your guys? A
Our guys
hotel,
get them all the time.
the whole hotel. I mean, how much does
Yeah.
it cost to get rid of like 100-bed
Well,
A
hotel?
lot.
if a hotel calls, they typically won't do the whole hotel because
Yeah.
they'll lose too much revenue. We actually had a client who had a contract with a major retailer in his city,
Yeah.
or not retailer, but major hotel platform, or whatever you want to call it, chain in his city.
Yeah.
And he actually fired him because he would go in, he would do the treatment. The problem is when you do a not the problem, but when you do a heat treatment, you need to let it sit for a certain amount of time before you start putting people back in the room.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't listen to him.
Wow.
And he was doing probably 5 or 6 rooms a week for this company, and they were paying him $800 a pop.
Wow.
And he fired him because he was like, "You guys just aren't doing business the right way. Like
Yeah.
you can't keep doing this to people."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a bed bug treatment isn't cheap.
Yeah. It's
I
not.
Yeah.
mean,
But
it's, you know,
I think in general they do like commercial clients.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That would be an exception. But
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the time they'll go in, they'll do something, and there's a good success rate, and then they typically follow it. But once you get in with one of those places, it's great. I mean, we got a client right now who, our goal is if we can get their SEO to the point to where they don't have to pay a lot for Google Ads. That's our ultimate goal, right?
Yeah.
Which ends up long term, it's not that for us as a business, it's not the best strategy because we lose money if they don't spend money on Google Ads and they only do SEO. But we do know it's what's best for the client.
Yeah.
And so we actually have a client right now that his SEO is doing so good. He ended up getting some government contract work and stuff, and we haven't ran Google Ads in probably like 2 months for him. And
Wow.
his SEO is kicking butt, and he's got these government contracts, and now he keeps on getting more commercial work. And it's like that's awesome. Like that was our ultimate goal. I
Yeah.
mean, it it's a killer for us. Like we helped him reach his goal.
Yeah.
you know, and he's still
Yeah.
a client. He's a great
yeah,
client.
what's good for the client is good
Yeah,
for us.
that's
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, totally. And that's that's what I appreciate about you guys is that you do what's best for the client, which is the way it should be. And a lot of agencies, I think we get a pretty bad rap. I don't know if you guys have talked to a few bed bug guys that have been bit, no, pun intended, have been bitten by the agency bed bugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like where
Yeah.
they're almost like it's like they're just so on
Yeah.
guard.
Yeah.
They just don't want to trust because they've been burned so badly, from somebody that's
100%.
taking their money. And this happened, by the way, this is happening right now with AI. I'm going to tell you guys two really quick stories that are absolutely legitimate. I didn't believe them, but if you look up, I don't want to say anything bad about it. So there's some companies out there that are currently in the AI space.
We'll talk about that offline.
Yeah, there's one that if you look them up, they're one of the top agencies out there or one of the top vendors that actually builds the models, the voice models on top of the LLM models.
Okay.
So it's one of those companies, and they are they're just taking money left and right because people are just clamoring to get artificial intelligence agents set up for their business for reasons like we talk about, which is to make sure that the calls are answered in 30 seconds and that the message leads are responded to in 30 seconds, which we're going to talk about in a second because I want to go there to see the results that you guys are getting because that's how we found each other in the beginning. I think you guys were consuming some of my maybe saw me on YouTube or whatever, and you saw, or maybe vice versa. But I mean, I've been talking about this, response rate, the 3 R's for a long time, since LSA came out 7 years ago. And, and so, and even before that, I mean, we knew this, and this is what you're to your point earlier of, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't get him to drink. This is this is part of the reason why we're trying to find a solution, because we can send the leads to these clients, but we can't get them to pick up the phone. And this is where,
for sure. Yep.
you know, and so it's
Yep.
a, you know, it's a strategy. This, when I heard about AI in the beginning, about the fact that it could actually like sound like a human, I was like, finally, I can stop recommending call services that put people on music hold 30% of the time, and those calls are counted as being missed.
Yeah.
And you know, and so that's why I was like, I'm gonna do it myself. And now we're actually, you know, developing using the OpenAI advanced, you know, voice feature.
Just out of curiosity, Ryan.
What's that?
Just out of curiosity, what percentage of phone calls do you think your clients don't answer?
Oh, I know. I know what it is, because I'm on calls 2 to 3 times a day with businesses where we do an audit for them.
Yeah.
We do an LSA audit, probably like you guys do, where you get them to send you their CID. They send you the CID so that we can actually look. We do about an hour long, or Mary, my assistant, does about an hour long, you know, audit to look at. Primarily, the first thing we look at is, what's your response rate? What's the percentage of time that calls are answered in less than 30 seconds, which is one of the key measurements that we have in our software that you guys were using for a little while. And you know, basically it's I would say the average client is answering only about 65% of their calls within 30 seconds.
It's the exact same as ours.
Right.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Ours is the same thing, like 60%. Yeah.
60-40. Yep.
And I would say, because I was almost going to say 70%, but I just know it's a little bit worse than that. So that's why I went to 65. So I'm saying that
But whenever you talk to them, they say they answer every call.
Yeah. What I'm here's, and I want to, and I want to be clear that what we see is, just to be clear, is that all of our clients, the average, if you averaged out,
correct, yes,
that's what I'm saying. If you average out the percentage of calls that are answered in less than 30 seconds, it's about 65% of the calls.
Yeah.
And so that's 100% of our clients. 100% of our clients.
Right.
Are so.
And that means you have some that are above.
Yeah, some are better.
Got a lot that are below.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, and you know, when you're missing, in essence, missing 50% of your calls, you know, I mean, you know, like, and by the way, there's a great study, a Harvard study that was done. You look it up. You guys are going to use it from now on. Mark my word, you're going to love this study. It's going to help you guys so much. It's a Harvard study. Look it up. It's called the average. It's called the average shelf life of leads, and it's a Harvard study that was done, I think, 12 years ago now, because I started using it like 5 years ago. And it literally, Harvard did a great study looking at like 2,500 businesses back then, and 25% of the businesses did not even ever call back the clients when they missed the call. Ever. you know?
Wow.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, a huge part of our push is efficiency, and AI is part of that, and to be more efficient, because realistically, leads are not cheap now, and they're not going to get any cheaper in the future. They're expensive.
Right.
And if you're not taking full advantage of all of them that you can, you're just not being efficient. I mean, the more efficient you are in your market, the more competitive you're going to be.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of how we focus, and some products, some AI products, or AI assisted products that we're developing, focus on efficiency, handling leads, and getting the most that you can.
Yeah. And Stephanie, great point. Thank you. Speed to lead. Absolutely. The speed at which you get to the lead, and you know, please post any questions or comments below the video if you're watching this on Facebook or Instagram or X, or I'm still getting used to saying X versus Twitter, but YouTube. Love Elon, dude. Elon's my boy. Oh my gosh, love that dude.
we like Elon.
I mean, come on. How can you not like that dude? I mean, so
he's a smart guy.
Oh, I mean, I just paid him $9 last night for a month, you know, to be able to stream to Twitter, and I love the fact that he went to a pay for premium service.
Yeah.
You know, because it's gotten rid of all the riffraff. It's like okay, I'll pay $9 and have a premium stream, and so
well, the reality is free speech is important right now. I mean, no matter which side you're on, like free speech is important, and I think that's what I appreciate about the Twitter platform.
Yeah, exactly.
It's free.
Yeah, exactly. So okay, let's get specific. Okay, what are you guys focusing on? First of all, we got a little bit more time here. Do you guys have a few more minutes, like maybe 10, 15 more minutes? Okay.
Yeah, we got a few more minutes.
Okay. Because I know you got to get after those bed bugs, man. I mean, you got to. So I was just gonna say, like, what in LSA? Let's talk about LSA first, and then we'll go to the AI, and then maybe GBP if we have a little time. What's the most important things for you guys for local service ads to optimize it to help your clients get the best results? I mean, we talked about reviews, radius, response rate. I actually just recorded a video just before I got on here, and I recorded on the 5 mistakes that people make when running local service ads. I know what mine are. I'm kind of curious what yours are.
I think.
You mean when people are running their own local service ads?
Well, or you guys, like when you find these wretched bed bug guys, and they're just they are down and out with their local service ads, and they just are just at the bottom of the barrel, and they're not ranking. What mistakes are they making?
Not answer the phone, at least not enough.
Yep. Which is their response rate.
Yep. Not having messages turned on or not replying to messages.
Yep. Yeah, they can't answer the messages fast enough, so they just turn them off. The problem with that is, I think that is Google wants you to have them turned on, and if Google wants you to do something, you should do it. Whether you would like to do it or not, you should still do it.
Yeah.
Google will reward you for doing what they want you to do, and probably the opposite if you don't.
Another mistake is they don't ever get in the platform.
Yeah, I always like to say if you give Google what it wants, Google will give you what you want.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Generally, when we take over a LSA account, there'll be hundreds of leads in the pipeline.
Yeah, in the new or active
that have never been touched.
Yeah. So that's the other thing, right? They don't log into the platform at all. They never really move leads, whether it's to archive or say they booked it or completed or whatever the case may be. They don't do any of those things typically.
Fill out the survey.
Surveys,
the new survey. Yeah,
that'd be another one.
Yeah, you guys nailed like 4 of them. The only other one that I would add to that, and you guys know this, is just and I know you're using a very AI strategy to get it done. Now, do you know what it is? Reviews, right?
Oh,
reviews.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you? Is it more useful to ask for the reviews out of the LSA platform versus just getting reviews on your Google Business profile?
Okay, that's a good question, because here's the way I look at it, guys. I go and I do a comparison. I do a search for their main keyword and their main city, and then I see where they come up, and then I look at their competitors that are above and below them, and I look and see if those guys have any verified reviews, especially if their competitors are above them. If they've got 5 verified reviews and my guy's got 5 or 1, I'm going to tell them to go get 5 right now.
Now, are you saying a verified review that came from asking for from local service ads?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Okay, because I always was thinking we should push clients to get it on the Google Business profile, because it doesn't leave from the LSA to the Google Business profile.
I 100% agree with that. I'm saying after they get those 5 verified reviews, to at least be ahead of their competitor for the verified review side of things.
Okay.
Then 100% go and just focus on GDP.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a
a really good point. I don't know if we've ever even considered that before, Corey.
We've considered it, but
maybe
not heavy enough.
I would look at that. Look at your guys that maybe are just maybe not quite there. And if you get those verified reviews just to be like one more than that guy that's above them, you might see that they might just hop above those guys.
That's interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Good point. Yep. Yeah, we're always looking for ways to increase that page rank. I mean,
Yeah.
because when you increase the page rank, you get the volume.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
like
Well,
the biggest thing with our clients, you know, if you don't have the AI or you don't have the response rate, you'll be going along great, gangbusters for a couple months, then
Yep.
then they'll just drop off.
yeah.
Then now they're listed at they were getting 30, 40 calls a month. Now they're getting
3.
10 at best.
you know, 2 or
Yeah.
3, you
Yeah.
know, and usually the answer is response rate.
Yep. I
You know,
I
that's
agree.
probably the biggest one. But I'm with you. I mean, reviews, you know, you can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to do, but it's worthwhile.
I would say, taking it one step further, I would say what we've seen is that it's the, on top of the verified strategy that I was telling you about, it's getting them consistently to what I mean by that is like one minimum per week. That's what we look at. In our
Yeah.
software for LSA, we actually, part of our software is we identify how consistently they got reviews over the previous 6 weeks. Did they get a review every week? In other words, I would rather see them get 1 review each week versus 6 reviews in 1 week.
Yeah, because to Google that's going to look suspicious. You know, are
Yeah.
you spamming? Do you have fake reviews?
Yep.
And you don't want to get flagged for that.
Yep.
Right.
You definitely don't want Google's AI flagging you for fake reviews.
And then the radius of the 3 R's, so reviews, radius, response rate for LSA. What do you guys think? This is the 5th common mistake that I actually put down in is that I tell my clients to put zip codes, cities, and counties. I don't care what Google says. Google's like, "Oh, you've already identified that area by a zip code and or a city, and you've like double, you know." I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm putting all the zip codes, all the cities, and the counties for the area that I want to show up in, because I've found that if I do a search for a keyword for my client and I put it with a zip code and I don't put zip codes in, the client doesn't show up for it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't think we've got enough data to say that you're, you know, we definitely don't have enough data to say that you're wrong. And I do think it's a interesting strategy, and we are using it. But
I would say
you know,
the reason why we don't have the data to back it up is because for the longest time, trying to target just bed bugs with local service ads really sucked.
Yeah.
Because Google would send you a just ton of regular like pest control leads.
Yep.
But we have, I mean, most of our clients have a pest control company and then a bed bug specialist, like part of it.
Yep.
But if they want to target bed bugs, it's a much bigger target area. So like they may only target pest control for like a 30, 40-mile radius or 25-mile radius,
Yeah.
but they might do bed bugs for, 80 or 100-mile radius.
Right.
And so when we were originally doing LSAs, it was hard to do just bed bugs. But now that we have figured out how to manage that by rating the leads and doing the things necessary, now it makes a ton of sense for our clients. So we haven't really had enough time to see how much of an impact having all the zip codes and that stuff in it will make. But that's definitely on our to-do list.
Okay. No, that's good. And then the other is you guys had mentioned the response rate, obviously, and message leads, not turning the message leads on. I agree with you. If a business doesn't have the message leads turned on, they're half the price of a phone call, right? So that's number one.
yeah.
And then the other thing is that if we get our clients to use an AI agent, and then all of a sudden that response rate goes to instant, which, let's face it, I mean, if the only option for these guys to respond is using the LSA app or email, then an AI agent is really the most natural next way, or the best way, I think, of actually responding to these message leads.
Oh yeah.
Because, I mean, it's like, how else are they going to respond and have, who's looking at their emails all day long? I mean, nobody.
Well, you're 100% right.
And every 30 seconds. I mean, an AI agent is the best way to respond, at least to the first set of messages through LSA.
Well,
It's definitely the best way. because
we just started
nobody's
using it.
gonna return a text within 30
No,
seconds.
no.
Yeah.
Or an
Or an
email
email.
within 30 seconds. I mean,
Yeah.
they just can't type it that fast. But the AI agent, fast, really
Yeah.
fast.
Well, we just started doing this probably about 3 months ago. And, you know, Ryan, we've always talked about that 90-day rolling thing for response rate.
Yep.
Well, I think Google may be speeding that up a little bit
Yeah.
because we had a client who, you know, we couldn't figure out how to actually make money off of clients with local service ads for a long time because we thought it was just kind of a set it, forget it thing.
Yeah.
Over the last, you know, 4, 5, 6 months, we've kind of figured out, oh, no, they really do need our help. So we had a client who's,
Definitely not
yeah,
anymore.
we had a client who literally was running
Yeah.
LSAs for probably a couple of years. And I mean, we had the budget set at like $10,000 a week,
Yeah.
and we were spending maybe $1,000 a month.
Right.
And we got all the AI set up. And the first month after getting the AI set up, we had $4,000 worth of leads.
Wow.
And we were like, "Whoa, okay, this
we
works."
we might have to slow that down, but
Yeah.
that's a much better problem to have than how do we speed this up?
Well,
Yeah.
and I'm so glad to hear you say that, and because I knew this, years ago. My gut was telling me that there's something to these message leads. If we can just get these message leads responded to, and I would even go so far as to say, if you're a local business owner and the only thing that you do is to set up an AI agent for your message leads, I would say that that's probably the best thing that you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, I agree. I mean, that's
And
a huge step.
yeah.
It's to get people to understand how significant that step is, but it's a huge step in how much volume you're going to get out of a
And then
local
we
service.
added the human piece to it because we all know that you can get spam and message leads aren't necessarily the highest quality leads. We all know that. Like we're not
Yeah.
dummies. So,
Yeah.
but that's why we added the human element to it. We have somebody on our team that goes in and checks those. If people don't respond to those or whatever, we do the review.
Yeah.
And we get a credit for it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
you know.
Yep. Well, and that's you do the survey. So you
Right.
actually go through the survey process, because that's been a big misunderstanding that a lot of people have is can you actually dispute calls anymore? Can I get
Think about how genius that was for Google though.
Yeah.
To get rid of the dispute and call it a survey because people hate surveys. Like the psychology behind it is genius from Google's perspective.
It's like, dude, it's like, the more I watch them do what they do, I'm like, dude, if I just thought more like Google, it's so subtle on such a large scale.
Yes.
It's like
Huge.
it's like what they're making such big moves, but so subtly that nobody knows it. It's like,
yeah.
For example, you've got the maps, and people are like, well, maps is going to be here forever. And I'm like, okay, you might be right, but why is that Google local service ad showing up when you go to more businesses? What's going on with that? Like, that just popped out of nowhere.
Yep.
And so, like, and this is, I would test this. And hey, Taylor says, hey Taylor. So yeah, great to have you here. If you got any questions, guys, please ask. Taylor's in the UK. I actually met him in Ireland just this past week at a mastermind. But anyway, amazing subtlety with Google and how they actually introduce these new tools, these new strategies, and how they really get us to. It's like you look back after 10 years and you're like, holy cow, how did I get here?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, like when we first started running ads, like one of the things that Corey and I discovered in the beginning was we've been running ads for so long that we were running ads when you had the right side rail ads.
Yeah.
So when Corey and I first started, you had the top 3 ads, right? Like you had the top 3 ads up here, and then you had the ads on the right side, and then you had the organic in the middle.
Yeah.
And so like whenever we very first started, we started to figure out, like, even for plumbers and for bedbug guys, you were better off being in that 4 or 5 position on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
Because you could get a much better cost per lead.
Yeah.
And still get a ton of traffic.
Yeah.
Well, then Google, Google's smart, right?
Google, seen
they
that.
got
They
rid
got
of
rid
it.
of that. Yeah,
Right.
that was a while ago. Yeah.
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 And then they
Yeah.
got rid of giving you the average position, right?
Yep.
They don't give you the average position in Google Ads anymore.
Yep.
And so all those changes, like you talked about, right? Those subtle changes over time, but it forces you to constantly be having to learn what Google is thinking.
Yeah.
And also the psychology of people,
Yeah.
because the reality is Google, since I've started doing this, Google has done nothing but push organic further and further down the page.
Yeah, exactly. I just had this conversation with a guy yesterday that we're bringing on board on Monday. This attorney firm in Alabama. Um, and by the way, he really liked my strategy of setting up multiple locations with local service ads. There are strategies, by the way, that you can implement, and when sometimes like we actually get the data from local service ads. Like they'll send it to us, to help our clients, let them know like where they can open up the next best location for them, like based on competitiveness, or like, in other words, where there's the least amount of competition and the most searches. So that data is out there, and Google will share it, believe it or not. But yeah, these changes, they do happen slowly over time, and it for example, like you got this change as well, with local service ads, where you what do you guys think about the same message lead being sold basically 3 additional times
Yeah,
after?
we we figured that out a couple months ago. Like we went through and we were playing with it, and we are like, "What the heck is this?"
Yeah.
And well, you know what? It's just an Angie's List, not Angie's List, but it's just like a local or used to be Service Magic. I used to work there when it was called Service Magic. What's it called now? Home
I think it's
Advisor.
Yeah,
Home,
well,
yeah.
Home
Home
Advisor,
Advisor.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're just taking a page. We thought Google would never do that, and
Nope.
this by the way is the other reason why you want to turn on message
You
leads.
need to be fast.
Yeah,
Yes.
and this is why AI works, and this is why, I mean, I love to hear any other case studies or examples that you guys have of how it works, because it's amazing to hear that within a month. Because I had a call with a guy with a and I didn't tell you this since the last time we talked, but it was, this data is just starting to come out now. I mean, because we started about a month and a half, 2 months ago. You and I both, where we were comparing notes, and we're like, okay, we're going to use this AI thing. We're going to see how this
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah.
And now we got this immigration attorney, awesome lady. She's basically by herself with a receptionist, so she needs, like, your guys. These guys need support.
Yeah.
They're wearing
Yeah.
so many hats, especially a bed bug guy. I can't imagine. I don't know. I mean, how many bed bug guys you got out there? I don't know, but I mean, it's like there's gonna be 10 different hats these guys are wearing, and one of them is answer the phone. And if you can give them enough confidence in the AI to where they can, like, start taking that hat off, and maybe even make
Yeah.
eventually the AI first line. By the way, I will say, if you have not tested out the advanced OpenAI voice, it is off the chain. Like, it literally stops talking immediately. Like, there's the interruption thing, that weird wonky,
Yeah.
kind of back and forth voice thing that happens with AI, or initially. That's all gone. That's, for the most part, is gone now. It's like
Nice.
done. So just
Yeah.
know, with OpenAI, which we just literally tested this morning, like, the latency is like perfect. It's like really, it's like a human.
Yeah,
So
voice AI is just it is advancing
Fast.
so fast. So fast. It's great.
it is. And
Yep.
I think that this is why, and when you can use the AI to respond quickly and to get to those leads, if you're on the next page. So Josh has got a question here. I manage an LSA team and have been, here we go. I manage an LSA team and have been running LSAs for over 2.5 years. You mentioned when a customer doesn't respond to your message lead, you are getting those credited. I am not seeing that. You mentioned that when a customer doesn't respond to your message lead. Okay. Yeah. So he's saying he's not getting a credit. He's not getting credits for those message leads when he fills out the survey.
Interesting.
I mean, I think you get credited for more than not, especially if you fill out the survey correctly.
And that's the thing, Josh. Are you filling out the survey for these guys? That maybe you as an agency owner are not filling out the survey, because and I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of agency owners are not, because they don't really
Well, once
focus
again,
on. Yeah.
Google kind of tricked you because they took the dispute away.
Yep.
Like, yeah. I mean, like whenever, like a few clients we've taken on recently, like, well, I can't dispute leads anymore.
Yes.
It's like, well, you can. You just got to know how to do it. I mean,
exactly. And this is where, you know, just going through that survey process. I got to, you know, I'm constantly changing, changing my, but it's a survey process. It's not a distribution process anymore. Yeah, we fill out the survey on every single lead that comes through. I agree, it is genius for Google. It is. My question to you, Josh, is are you seeing what we are, that you can actually get, you know, because it's a major point of confusion for businesses. They're like, well, the distribution process is gone, so they don't do the surveys.
Well,
and
it sounds
so
like Josh is filling it out, but he's not getting credits for it.
he's not. Yeah. So
interesting.
He says, yeah, we fill out a survey on every a single lead that comes through. I agree, it's genius for Google.
Interesting.
I guess we're not seeing the same thing. You know, is it impossible that that's happening for Josh? Definitely not. But I guess we're not seeing the same thing. Maybe he's in a different vertical.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, our verticals are pretty limited.
I've also heard, guys, that certain verticals, you can actually have an engagement with the client via text, like versus, like, I don't know, are you seeing that you can actually, instead of email, you can actually have a text conversation with the person for message leads?
Not right away.
I don't think I've noticed that.
Okay.
I mean, we try to get people to text as soon as possible, but Google wouldn't necessarily be facilitating that. But
right. Yeah, I know.
At least in our verticals, and Google does roll out new things step by step. Like a lot of times they will start in a vertical, and if it works there, they'll move it out to other verticals. You know, so if it's in one vertical, it's not necessarily in another.
Yeah, I also wonder too, sometimes, you know, Google, because they charge you. This is what's fascinating about Google, right? They charge you half or whatever for that lead, but it also goes out. But they sold it 4 times, right? So they made more money on their end. And I almost wonder if, depending on the vertical, depending on where they sent that lead to or how many people they're actually sending it to, determines on whether or not they'll give a refund for it or a credit.
Yes. Yeah, I'm really curious, like how, like exactly like how that process works. What percentage of your, and I just realized I've got an appointment in a little bit. I know you guys probably do too. I've actually I'm late for, so I got to jump. But what percentage of your surveys are actually getting approved for disputes, like are getting credited?
No, that's a good question, and we actually haven't ran that.
Yeah, that's a good question. We'll have to look at that data. That is data that we're both interested in. But we'd have to get back to you. But yeah, I mean, we can have another discussion, and I mean, I think this is an ongoing discussion with LSA and especially with AI. I mean, there's a lot of nuances to AI that we haven't covered, and you know, there'll be different aspects of AI 2 weeks from now that
our average client though is getting probably $150 to $300 a month in credits.
Yep.
So I would have to, to break that down per lead, because I think the average cost per lead in between plumbing, electrical, and HVAC and bed bug guys, I think the average cost per lead ranges, but just for the bed bug guys alone, I mean, you're talking $60 to $80 a lead. So it doesn't take much to get that up there.
Yeah, it really doesn't. And so, well, I've got a lot more questions for you guys. I've got another call I gotta jump, but I do want to talk to you guys about, like, for example, using the AI for getting reviews, because that process is great. I think that it's going to improve, like using the AI has got to improve the conversion rate by 10, 15, 20% at least. You know?
I'm a believer. I don't have the numbers on reviews yet, but I do believe that conversational style of going after those reviews is better than form. Emailing out a form, and it's got a step-by-step process it's really impersonal, informal. You know, the conversational is better. I just don't know how much better. But we're still learning on it.
And that's the other thing I want to talk to you guys about, is how much better is. My question to my team is, what is the conversion rate of what percentage of inbound calls that are answered by AI versus humans are converted into new clients? That's what I want to know. I want to compare the two. Because if we know that you don't lose anything in terms of conversion rate when the AI answers first, then why not just turn it on first line?
We have a client that did it, and his revenue went up when he stopped answering the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he was especially non-empathetic. And actually, you know, the other thing about AI is
Never gets tired.
we taught it to be empathetic, which is
Yeah.
a robot is more empathetic than a human.
That's a little scary.
Or at least it seems
awesome.
to be.
Yeah.
So,
That's
which
awesome.
is important for bed bugs. But yeah, we know you got to
Yeah.
get going, Ryan, and I think we can do this again in the future. And we're learning more about this all the time, and you know, there'll be more to talk about soon.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to get a hold of you guys, where do they get a hold of you guys at? Where's the best place?
They can go to FastForwardSearch.com or BestBedBugLeads.com, and you can book a meeting from us directly from there.
And you can email us directly at Cliff or Corey at either one of those domains, Cliff at FastForwardSearch or at BestBedBugLeads.com.
Yep.
Awesome. I figured it had to be something with, you know, bedbug domain or something. You know, that's awesome. So
that's where it all started.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. It's cool to compare notes and to talk to somebody else. So, you know, I mean, and to just, you know, we learn from each other. And yeah, if you guys want to get a hold of me, you can always go to accelerateyourmarketing.com, and you can text my team or at 619-304-5155. And yeah, I appreciate you guys, your time, and we'll talk soon. We'll do this again.
Sounds good. We appreciate it, Ryan.
We're interested to see what questions people have. Comment.
Yeah, and yeah, if you got questions after this is done, guys, like, you know, anybody that's watching the replay, definitely post the questions below, and we'll start the next conversation with those questions.
Yep.
Perfect. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Have a great day, guys.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you, Ryan.